Welcome back to the Papa Meat channel. How you doing? How you doing? Come on and sit on down because today we're talking about a very embarrassing way to die. Now, if you were to die somewhere, where would you think would be the most embarrassing place you could die? Your room? We've seen that. It's not good. What about the grocery store? People buying some produce and then you pop over dead? I don't know. Probably the most embarrassing place you could die is on the toilet. You know what I mean? Everyone associates dying on the toilet with Elvis Presley, who infamously died with like, I don't know, 6,000 pounds of in his stomach or whatever. People always talk about it, but it was an interesting thing that was brought to my attention that there are a lot of people of notoriety who have died on the toilet. And today I just wanted to talk about people who've died on the toilet. It doesn't really go any deeper. Don't look into it. I don't have a toilet fetish. I don't have a stinky doo-doo fetish at all. I just want to talk about people who have died on the toilet. So let's, without further ado, let's do that. And Elvis isn't the only person just die of a big fat heart attack or drug overdose on a toilet. A lot of famous people do a lot of drugs and then they have to take a shit and then they die while they're taking a shit. Much like Judy Garland, or Dorothy from The Wizard of Oz, who was found dead on the toilet with blood streaming from her mouth after an overdose on pills. Follow the yellow brick road. Toto, I don't think we're in Kansas anymore. Am I right? Also, English novelist Evelyn Waugh died after having a heart attack and then drowning in his toilet.
How does that happen? Did he get...
He must be like, and then fell on his knees. Right, one of those kind of things. And apparently 11% of all cardiac arrests happen while people are sitting on the toilet. I'm not gonna lie, that frightens me. Every time I take a now I'm gonna be like, is this it? Is this the time I pass on into the next life? Because it might be. But this is because you're straining yourself while trying to poop and it can stress your heart out and people are like, they do that. And let me tell you, I take some rancid so that is how I'm going to die. I can tell you that right now, but
today's video is sponsored by PDS Debt. It's so easy to get into debt. Ooh, Lord, I know. But getting out of it is a different story. So many of us are struggling with credit card debt, personal loan, collections, or medical bills. And the system is set up to keep you there. Look, I went to school, took on a bunch of debt, and I wish PDS Debt was around to help me out. If you're currently struggling with debt, PDS Debt may be able to help. May be able to help. PDS Debt provides a service to match you with debt solutions tailored to your financial situation. Everyone with $10,000 or more in eligible debt qualifies. And the best part is, there's no minimum credit score required. Save more while paying off your debt in just a fraction of the time. Stop waiting and start saving. Get a free debt analysis right now at pdsdebt.com/papameat. It only takes 30 seconds. That's pdsdebt.com/papameat. pdsdebt.com/papameat. Thank you, PDS Debt, for sponsoring this video. And back to the video.
let's take a look at some of the weirder, more obscure ways people have died on toilets, because we've only scratched the tip of the iceberg. Let's go. First up, I want to talk about Duke Jing of Jin. That sounds like I'm being racist, but that's his name. He was the ruler of the state of Jin, one of the most powerful states in ancient China, and he reigned from 599 BC to 581 BC. During his 19th year of ruling, the Duke mysteriously fell ill and died a few months later. According to the commentary of Zuo, which is ancient Chinese documents, you fucking losers. Before his death, the Duke dreamed of a great demon with disheveled hair that reached to the ground, beating his breasts.
I had to make sure it was a guy, but he was like,
beating his breast, his man tits. The demon blamed the Duke for the death of his descendants and asked God to have him pay the consequences. When the Duke awoke, he called a witch to explain this dream, to which he told him,
"You will not live to eat this year's new wheat."
Soon after, the Duke fell extremely ill and requested the assistance of a physician for his arrival. The Duke had another dream. It's a lot of dreams with the Dukes here. The Duke of Dreams is what we should have called him. This time it was the disease manifesting itself into two boys. Where are we going with this? They taunted the Duke by saying even the best physician wouldn't be able to hurt them, as one was hiding in his heart and the other hiding below his throat.
basically cancer.
He basically had microplastics in his bloodstream and he died. When the physician arrived, he informed the Duke that there was nothing that could be done for him. Yeah, I like how they're like, I don't know. It's 581 BC. What do you expect of me? He's like, can I go in for an appointment? They're like, there is no place to go. I come to you. That's what, here it is. A few months later, the new wheat harvest season arrived and the Duke was still alive.
Lying witch.
I just go back up to that fucking witch and slap her in the face. He ordered his servants to use some of the wheat to make bread for the Duke to eat. While it was being prepared, they dragged the witch to the baker, showed her the bread, and then executed her on the spot? God damn! Just as the Duke was getting ready to taste the wheat, he felt bloated, so he went to the loo. I like how he's like, guys, before I eat this bread, I have to shit. But unfortunately, he slipped and drowned.
Yeah, apparently he fell into like a pit of shit.
But unfortunately, he slipped in and drowned into a pit of shit. So was he just like hovering over a giant hole in the ground? He's like,
I imagine right as he walked in, he like slipped on a turd.
fell back in. But the story doesn't end there. Apparently, the slave who pulled the Duke's body out of the toilet also had a dream that morning about carrying the Duke to heaven. I wonder in the dream if he was covered in shit
That's
too.
what I wonder.
Yeah, he's just like, the Duke, and he was so stinky. He was covered in some kind of stinky mud. Consequently, the slave was buried alive with the Duke to serve him in the afterlife. God damn, dude. Do you think the servant, do you think he was stoked about that? Or do you think he was kind of pissed? I mean, you just dream about the Duke.
I was gonna say, I think what it was is like, they said like, why didn't you tell anybody you had this dream? Because then they could have...
Well, we saw what happened to the witch. I think I'd just keep it to myself. Next up, we have Arius. Arius was a Christian priest from Alexandria, Egypt in 256 to 336 AD, and is one of the most controversial figures in early Christian history. Windigoon's like, what? Arius argued that Jesus, while divine, was not co-eternal with God, the Father, but instead was a created being.
This apparently caused chaos.
Arius said fucking what? People are like by the Sphinx like, what did he say? This view condemned Arius as a heretic within the Christian community, so he was excommunicated and exiled in 325 AD. But by 336 AD, the Roman Emperor Constantine had ordered Arius to be reinstated into the church. Thank you, Constantine.
He was like persuaded by his followers. He's like, fine, I'll do it.
God damn, fine, I'll do it. Jeez. It was a lot cooler here in Rome before Christianity. On the day of his reinstatement, Arius was walking proudly through the streets of Constantinople when he felt a sudden urge to relieve himself. Oh my god. Oh my god, I have to shit. So he rushed to the nearest latrine. I wouldn't put up a picture of a latrine. It's an old toilet. So he rushed to the nearest latrine and fainted after violent relaxation of his bowels. He fainted after he violently shit himself. According to Socrate Scholasticus, a bitter enemy of Arius, his bowels and small intestines hemorrhaged and his spleen and liver bursted out of his body, causing him to die almost instantly. Is this where you shit your guts out came from? It is, isn't it? Oh god! And all of his gutty works just fell out of him. Modern scholars attribute Arius' death may have been a result of poisoning by his opponents. What opponents? What the f? But too many at the time, the fact that Arius died in such a sudden and horrific manner, just before he was to be reinstated, was interpreted by many as an act of divine retribution. I like how they're like, Jesus was fucking pissed. To them, this was proof that Arius' views were indeed heretical, and that God had stepped in to prevent his reintegration into the church. I would think that if God was going to do something like that, it would be more like, be much more grandiose.
I mean, shitting your guts out.
I mean, shitting your guts out, don't get me wrong, I guess to be fair, you're kind of, yeah, you're walking me back. If you shit your guts out and somebody finds you with your out and you're like, your entire gutty works are just like hanging there with your tiny little red, you're just like, then yeah, I guess you would. People would be like, "Oh, dude, Arius sucks. Look at Arius, dude. Just shit his guts out. Look how tiny his dick is." And you're just like, flies and shit going around you, farting, and his like intestines are like slapping. It's like, he's just like,
My God, why?
why, God, why? I guess when I think of God doing something like that, I think of just a guy exploding. Right? You're like, holy shit. Next up, you have JW, aka the Balloon Man. The Balloon Man. Ever since birth, JW suffered from gastrointestinal issues, just like Mr. Beast. At the age of 2, he often suffered from irregular bowel movements, constipation, and unusually bloated belly. Yeah, he just looks like he's like fully pregnant. We were like, JW's pregnant again. He's like, stop it. Got like perfect pregnant belly. Stop it, guys. You know what's disgusting about pregnant women? Is when their belly. You know what? God bless all the women who have children, because it's a hard thing. But you know what I don't like is when their belly button gets pushed out and then they get those stretch marks by their belly button as if they're like fucking like splitting at the seam there. That always scares the shit out of me, because I'm always just like, I don't think it's gonna hold. That's what I used to think as a kid. I was like, I don't think it's gonna hold. Over the years, the severity of these symptoms worsened, causing his stomach to swell up and become permanently bloated due to the accumulating fecal matter. Old boy was blocked up. He's like, I just can't stop eating cheese. J.W. Velveeta is his name. By the time he reached 16, J.W. could go up to 1 month without any bowel movements. Brutal.
So do you think if he it was like...
If he shit, I mean, it's a landslide. Yeah, it's unbelievable. It's a chocolate river. We don't even want to get into it. Thinking it was a tumor, JW tried to go to the doctor, but he was unable to receive any medical treatment for his condition, as the surgery was deemed too dangerous at the time. I mean, guys, we're talking about, when even is this? What year is this? Oh, the 1800s. Instead, at the age of 20, JW joined a freak show in Philadelphia and was dubbed the Balloon Man and Windbag for his protruding belly. And so help me God, if I start seeing people calling me the Balloon Man or Windbag, I am going to be fucking livid. I can't escape the controlling fire thing. That little son of a bitch at Chick-fil-A has ruined my life, all right? In 1892, less than a decade later, JW was found dead in a bathroom. His final moments were spent attempting to relieve a bowel movement.
He was struggling, dude.
People are just like, classic JW, classic Balloon Man. An autopsy revealed that his colon was 8 feet long. Oh my God. With a circumference of 28 inches and contained 40 pounds of shit. That's insane. He's got the goddamn Anaconda from that Ice Cube movie in the 90s. He has that Anaconda wrapped up inside of him.
Anaconda.
He's like, guys, no, seriously, my stomach hurts. They're like, Balloon Man, Balloon Man.
I think during the freak show, people were allowed to come up and touch.
Oh, they definitely are going up and slapping his belly like a bald guy's head. You know what I mean? Oh, I bet it was brutal. He's probably just sitting there the whole time like,
You think he liked it?
Oh, no, I think he's in pain. He didn't think he liked that. His 8-foot megacolon is now on display in Philadelphia at the Mutter Museum. It is stuffed with straw and fabric to simulate what it would look like with poop in it. We gotta go. If you're in Philadelphia, you gotta tell me, is the Mutter Museum worth it? Is the Mutter Museum, is it like a freak show museum?
I think so.
Oh,
scientific, yeah, it's like scientific oddities.
Oh, scientific oddities. They better have a fucking thing that you can go up and like press it. That's what they should have done with it. You see the megacolon, you're like, that's what it looks like, but then they have like a fake like silicone thing that you can like, you know, press your face up against it. It must have been so hard.
Oh yeah. Well, his shit had to be hard too. You gotta.
Oh my God, it fossilized inside of him. You'd have to assume. I wonder if he did it feel like he was out broken glass, hard chunks of like that, like rocks and pebbles.
I was gonna say his colon was 28 centimeters wide, so his shit was, yeah.
How wide do you think his asshole was? Your colon goes to your asshole, right? So if you're getting stretched up that much, you're stretching. Do you think he was always just crowning? A little burnt baby's head just right there at the top. He's in there scooping it out with his hands. This is fucking disgusting. At the time, JW's condition was a medical mystery, but now it is believed that he suffered from congenital megacolon or Hirschberg's disease. Hirschsprung's disease. Why can't they just be like, it's fucking the stiff colon disease? You know what I mean? Why don't you just call it stiff colon? Well, it's congenital megacolon or Hirschsprung's disease. I'm dyslexic! I can't read, I can't talk. I'm gonna be mute for the rest. This is a condition where the nerve fibers fail to develop in your colon, making the colon unable to move waste to the intestines and rectum. That'd be brutal, dude.
You think he was, yeah, like reaching up into his colon, like
You would,
pulling
dude, if he is crowning from his asshole, which he definitely was. A 28, I mean, that's insane. Think about how much it was stretched towards the end. His asshole was definitely, he had that red cauliflower probably sticking out. If it was me and that, I mean, if I was like, it won't come out, I would dig. You'd be calling my ass Shia LaBeouf in holes, dude, for real. I'd be digging up a hole, for real. Moving on, good God. Murza Ghulam Ahmed. Ahmed? I'm American. What the hell is that? What is that name? They were the founder of the Islamic religious movement in India, and Ghulam claimed he could hear revelations from God and claimed that he was Mahdi, which is savior, a reincarnation of the Prophet Muhammad and also Jesus Christ and the Hindu god Krishna. He was just all of them. That's a lot. To even just be like, I'm Muhammad, people are like, oh my God. You're like, I'm also Krishna. You're like, what? And I'm Jesus Christ. Huh? What? And in 1907, he apparently received several revelations from angels informing him of his imminent death. Fucking put Jesus in the window looking in. Oh, Murza, is that you? Then in 1908, Murza died from a series of severe diarrhea. What does that even mean? A series of severe diarrhea.
Apparently he so much, he became so weak, he couldn't get up.
Oh, can you imagine, like, you're so much that you're like the fucking little alien in Men in Black in that little seat on your toilet? Also, was he eating while he was shitting? Is that how he kept, like, because, like, if you, let me tell you, I've had some sloppy Joe shit before where you're just like, I have nothing left to give. But to shit yourself so much to where you couldn't even get up, what happened? There's no way it was just due to the diarrhea. By the time of his death, he had gathered over 400,000 followers.
And it's blasphemy to say that he died on the toilet.
It's blasphemy to say he died on the toilet?
Yeah, that's why I didn't put it in.
Wait, so are people saying, oh, now we said it here. Okay. Well, good. Well, now at least you got me to say a fucking blasphemous act, dude. Thanks. So he had people were just like, you are Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, in India. He was huge.
He's huge in India.
He was the person who brought Islam to India.
Damn. I just want to know, has there been any speculation of, did he have a disease of some kind?
Well, that's also blasphemy to say he did have a disease.
So we can't have a conversation without it being blasphemy. So I can't say you had a disease, that's blasphemy, but I can say you shit yourself to death.
He was so weak from his shits.
He was so weak from his shits that what?
He died.
So he shit himself to death. I like how it's like a fucking Pokemon, like HP counter. He's so weak, he fainted, and he just never awoke again.
Well, I think it's because it's just like, people are arguing that it's humiliating to die on the toilet, but it's fine. It's a natural way to die if you shit yourself and you're weak from shitting yourself. I went to like 3 websites that were all saying this.
I went to 3 different Wikipedia pages. No more blasphemous acts me. You know what I say? No, I'm not even I'm moving on. I'm moving on from this son of a bitch. Next up, we have Godfrey the Hunchback. What are these characters you're telling me about here? Godfrey IV, aka the Hunchback, was Duke of Lower Lorraine from 1069 until his death in 1076. He was the eldest son of Duke Godfrey the Bearded and Duchess Doda.
My favorite game.
No, not Dota, Doda. It is kind of funny that the dad's like the Bearded, and yeah, the son who's just like the fucking Hunchback, the freak. The Hunchback, even back then, that's gotta be a fucking, there's no way people are like, you're the Hunchback, yeah. That's gotta be an insult, right? You're like a freak.
So the funny thing is, every time they like reference him, they're saying like, oh, Godfrey, he was a great guy, great leader. He was a freak with his Hunchback. He was weak.
He was such a nice guy. Unbelievable. He was a freak, didn't like looking at him, he smelt bad, wouldn't go near him. But goddamn was he nice. He's like, thank you. Despite his small stature and hunchback, Godfrey was a respected leader with a great mind and gained several military victories. Yeah, right, dude. One of these accomplishments was driving out Count Dirk V out of Muis Istria. Muis Estuary in 1070. You guys remember that one, right? Godfrey the Hunchback, he did that. 6 years later, Dirk wanted revenge. So he plotted an assassination attempt against Duke Godfrey the Hunchback. During the night, the Duke had retired because of a natural need. So he went to an outhouse to relieve himself. That's when a servant of Dirk named Giselbert, who waited for hours underneath the toilet, the latrine, stabbed Godfrey in the ass with a spear or a dagger. Like right up his ass like that. 7 days after the attack, Godfrey passed away from his injuries.
But here's some pictures. There's a few, debates on whether how he died. So they illustrated these.
They hit people illustrated. I like, is that him like farting? Actually, I don't know why more people don't get assassinated on the toilet. That's a perfect place to get assassinated, I would think. Pants around your ankles. One other time someone's like, oh, they're most vulnerable when you're taking a I'll share you're also the most inquisitive. I think people think about some real while they
Like what?
I don't know, I think about my mortality a lot when I'm shitting. I think it's just because you're expelling something from your body and you're just like, well, that's gone. When am I going to be gone?
I'm usually on my phone.
Yeah, well, I'm on my phone too, but I'm just like... You kind of catch yourself in that loop, so you go back to it. It's like a Chinese guy begging on TikTok. No.
Have you ever had so painful that you had to put your legs up on the toilet?
Oh, yeah, those are I actually call those the crowners. It's fucking believable. You're like, oh, it feels like you're being fucking split in half. No, you like feel, you can tell it's like halfway out. And you're like, and then finally it drops. You're like, Also, I feel a little fucking like widened up after it happens, like an old like moonshine jug. That's what it feels like, dude. Let's talk about other assassination attempts on the toilet. God damn it. Like King Edmund Ironside in 1016. Man, the 10s were a rough year for people on toilets, dude. During this time in England, there were strong tensions between the Danes and the English people. And after a devastating defeat on the Battle of Assanden. Ass? There's ass in that. What goes on the toilet? Your asshole. Edmund was forced to sign a treaty that stated if the King of Danes, Knut, is it Knut? Nut? I'm just saying nut. Or King Edmund would die, then their kingdom would revert to the others. Suspiciously, just a few months later, Edmund was assassinated on the toilet. There are a few different accounts of his death. Some say that Edmund's general, Erdrick, stabbed him in the genitals while hiding in the bathroom. How are people so like sneakily getting into these bathrooms? They're just like, you know, the f***er's like, I beat Tenchu Z like 6 times. It's gonna be a huge shout out. Someone's gonna be like, Tenchu Z. You ever play that game?
No.
You ever played Tenchu? Another account says he was killed by a booby-trapped crossbow that was hidden in the cesspit, which doesn't mean they just fucking shot up at his asshole. Who went down there to put that in? He's like covered in shit. He's just like, the trap is placed, sir. Thank you. Move on. The most common theory was that he was stabbed by a sword or spear in his bowels, in his belly. You know what? I prefer to think about the booby-trapped crossbow that shot a bolt up his asshole and killed him. Dude, you must feel pretty accomplished if you came up with that trick. Also, back then, too, seeing that wound must have been insane. There's like shit covering his cheeks and his thighs or whatever, because you know he's probably like, ooh, because he probably, if you got hit in the with a bolt, you'd probably initially be like, oh, and you'd stand up a bit, and then the would fall down on your inner thighs, and it would be all over your feet and stuff. Just a really stinky affair, if I'm being honest. Or there's the Japanese warlord Usuki Kinchin, whose death is shrouded in mystery and speculation. He was one of the most powerful daimyos of the Sengoku period and earned the nickname Dragon of Ichigo. That's pretty sick. For his military genius and feats on the battlefield. You know what we never talk about? I've never really learned about Nobunaga. I always thought that name was sick. Pretty sure he's like a samurai warlord. He was also, the only reason I even knew about him when I was a kid is because he's also another video game shout out. Onimusha. Nobunaga was a demon warlord, but he was a real guy. I thought that was kind of fucked up when I found out about it, because it's like, oh, that's a made-up guy. They're like, no, he's real. I was like, that's kind of fucked up. You made him like a demon king or whatever.
Was he evil?
I have no idea. He might be evil. People in the comments sure will know. Oh yeah, Nobunaga. Yeah, I know Nobunaga. On April 19th, 1578, he died on the toilet at the age of 48. The most accepted theory is that he died of stomach cancer, as it was recorded that he had stomach aches for 5 days and was constantly on the toilet until his death. I hate to say this, but see, that's a little more, if you're gonna shit yourself to death that way, I like that more than the guy who's just like, yeah, he shit himself to death and you can't say anything else or it's blasphemy. I like how these guys are like, he probably had fucking cancer and that's why he shit himself. And you're like, oh, that makes sense. The other people, you can't fucking say shit, dude. You can't say shit. We're throwing in some zingers today, but some speculate that a ninja hid in the cesspit below and pierced his anus with a katana while on the toilet. What is with people's speculation that people have to always be hiding in a goddamn cesspit, dude? He's like, he probably had cancer because he had the stomach aches, right? Yeah, probably. Yeah, it's probably the ninja in the cesspit with the katana, right? That shouldn't even be a speculation, because was there a piercing wound? And if so, then why was that not people's first assumption? You know what I mean? What the fuck?
I think at the time, because right after they raged like a huge war against their enemies, so I think it was propaganda.
Oh, is it
from either side? I think from them, they were like, they killed.
Yeah, we did it. James I of Scotland. While not exactly dying on the toilet, James was ambushed by assassins while staying at the Church of Blackfriars in Perth. Trying to escape, James used iron tongs and pried open the planks of his chamber's floor. He then went down a sewage passage that led to the cesspit of his castle sewer. And unfortunately, James had forgotten that he had ordered his men to block the drain with stones because he kept losing his tennis balls down the drain. While this was happening, one of the maidens, Catherine Douglas, that's like a fucking American name, used her arms to bar the door closed against the assassins to buy James some time. Eventually, the assassins burst through the door, breaking her arm in 2 places, thus giving her the nickname Cat Barless. Eventually, James is discovered in the sewage drain and was hacked to pieces. Do you think they fucking cut him up in the sewage drain? God damn. Many people were glad to see James dead, as they considered him a greedy tyrant. Ironically, his descendants James IV died of a violent attack of dysentery, which is just shitting yourself. The idea too that James is just down in the sewer like...
That'd be a good comedic moment where he's like trying to get the stones, and then a tennis ball floats by and he's like, oh, of course.
He's like... Yeah, okay. Just the idea of a guy getting hacked in a sewer pipe is just like so funny to me. I don't know why. You're like, like they hacking away at this guy. Erfurt Latrine Disaster. So many fucking latrines. I like how if it was in the 19th century where we had fucking toilets, it was just people just like, yeah, they got fucking high and they died of a heart attack. Back then, it's like, it was a latrine and a cesspit. There was a ninja in a cesspit. Sometimes it's not just one person who dies on the toilet, but many. And one of the most infamous cases was the Erfurt Latrine Disaster. On July 26, 1184, Henry VI, King of Germany, held an informal assembly at the Cathedral Provostry in Erfurt on the second story. Man, I bet second story shitters back in the day were rough. Like, the pipe's supposed to go all the way up there? He's like, yes, okay. All of the nobles across the Holy Roman Empire were invited to the meeting to mediate a land dispute between a noble and an archbishop. Just as the assembly was about to start, the wooden floors in which the nobles were sitting broke under the stress, and the attendees fell down through the first floor into the cesspit below.
No, apparently they broke through the second and first floor.
They broke through 2 floors. Oh, okay. So they did like a Tom and Jerry skit going down the, okay, a little Looney Tunes action. Anywhere between 60 to 100 people were either crushed or drowned and suffocated by the fumes of the King Henry VI avoided the fall and survived because he was seated on a stone alcove built into the wall. Like I was like, watched them all like fall. He's like, okay. I don't know. The idea of dying on the toilet is, I think it gets a bad rep. It seems like a lot of great people in history have died on the toilet. And to me, it'd be an honor. If you find out that I died on the toilet, don't laugh and don't feel sorry for me because I joined a great ranking of other human beings who did the same. And I think that they're not cowards. I think you're a coward.
Me?
Not the viewer.
No.
Do you want to die on the toilet?
No.
You're a coward.
I don't want my fucking cock like shriveled up and like.
Dude, why would I give a fuck if I'm dead?
It's called my legacy, dude.
What legacy? What legacy are we going to have besides being like they made, like, we got 2 years left, maybe a year left of good shit. We got to get all the stuff you want to do out now while the iron's hot, or else, I mean, it's done. All these people watching these videos, this little fucking gravy train is not running forever. Let me tell you that right now. So I just want to say, you know what? If you guys died on the toilet, I would give you a nice salute and I'd say, God bless. You joined a rank of beautiful, beautiful human beings. And at least you probably didn't die with a ninja stabbing your ass or somebody hiding in your bathroom. Now, if you find out that I got shot on the toilet, that's when you should be like, oh, because that's a new age ninja. But that's all I got for today. You know, stay safe shitting, my friends. We'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.
What would be like the worst way to die? Most embarrassing then?
The most embarrassing way to die? Probably getting caught, like, jacking off.
With a belt around your neck?
Like, autoerotic asphyxiation feels pretty embarrassing to me. Your cock's like in your hand, and there's probably cum all over the floor. But also, then people are like, oh, he was into that? That's like a double whammy. That's a triple whammy, kind of.